Welcome back to Football 301. I am your host, Nate Tice. Great Tuesday show for you. I'm going to be joined by Matt Harmon. We're going to look at top 10 power rankings. It's a great time to do that. About the midpoint of the season. Who are the true Super Bowl contenders versus the pretenders, but still could be top 10. That means you're a playoff team. Plus, went online and then I asked some questions for you. Trade deadlines next week. We're going to react to some trades that you guys submitted to that tweet, to that post that I sent out, and just we're going to react to them. We're going to respond to them, grade them, see how much we like them. Should be a very fun show. But like I said, to help me do that, like every Tuesday, my guy, Mr. Matt Harmon. How you doing today, Matt?
Yo, what's going on, man? I'm feeling pretty good. We're like midway through the regular season. We are kind of in the current reality. I don't want to get too set in stone about where we are with any of these teams or anything. Some of them, we've settled into one of the teams in the top five, in both of our top fives, it looks like we would definitely not have had here in the preseason. And yet we've accepted that this is where this team is. We're kind of living in that current reality, and we're mostly buying it, but I'm also ready for some of these takes to look really bad in a couple of months. I'm totally prepared for that.
And it's a great kind of moment to go like, oh yeah, but this is for the first half of the season, but also kind of predicting the second half and beyond. It's great. You can make the argument how you want. It's our show. It's our picks. It's our power rankings. So we can kind of judge these, but that's a great call. One of the teams that we're going to talk about probably early, because we both have them up there, is a big surprise. But there's some other stalwarts at the top, including the team that played Monday Night Football last night, the Kansas City Chiefs. We're not doing the Monday Night Football recap. Marcus Mariota started for one of the teams. I think that's all I need to say. And I think everybody else from the Commanders just dropped off. And we'll talk about the Chiefs pretty much right now. Let's get into that power rankings. We're going to start with our top five. I'll start with mine. I'll show mine, and then you can show me yours. We're going to start and kind of break these off. We're the tier of contenders, we think for the rest of the season. My top five, I have the Packers at 5, the Colts at 4, which is the team I believe you're referring to, the Rams at 3, the Lions at 2, and those Kansas City Chiefs at 1 in the spot that seems everybody's annoyed that they're so high up there. But man, I really believe this one right at this point in time. But Matt, we have a few differences, and I'm excited to hear them. What is your top 5 after week 8, going into week 9, power rankings, Matt Harmon?
All right, 5-1. I have the Rams at 5. I have the Packers at 4. I have the Colts at 3. I have the Eagles at 2, which looks like that's the one place where we were different. And then I have the Lions at number 1. So your number 1 team, I have, spoiler alert, I have them at 6. So I'm not crazy far off or anything like that. But it looks like the only place where we really disagreed was in terms of minor spots here, there, whatever. But Eagles in my top 5, not in yours.
Yeah, let's start with them. Why do you have them in your top 5? You have them at number 2, actually.
I mean, they're a really talented football team, and we've seen that when I wanted to make the case, by the way, I was talking with our mutual friend Mina Kimes about this on Twitter, that I think Devontae Smith's been the best skill position player on this team so far this year, at least from a consistency basis. I know he's a player that you and I have always had a fair bit of affection for, and man, I just think wire to wire, he's been better than AJ Brown as the wide receiver. Who's the 2, whatever. He's been better than AJ Brown has been this season. Obviously, Saquon Barkley, it's been fits and starts, but I really like some of the wrinkles that we've seen from this team on offense over the last couple weeks in terms of them getting under center, using some more jumbo, tighter, heavier, condensed formations. Dallas Goedert is having a really good year as well, by the way. When he missed some time, you really felt his absence both in the run and in kind of the designery pass game stuff. So, Kevin Patullo starting to settle in as the offensive coordinator. I think that was the biggest variable this year was what was that going to be? I think the last couple of weeks, again, we've seen more of that under center stuff in the run and pass game. In week 7, the passing game really thrived with it against Minnesota. Then this past week, Saquon Barkley thrives in his first big game as a rusher. So I kind of like how the offense is coming together. The Brown stuff is a little bit still on my radar, but hopefully he'll be healthier coming out of the bye and maybe a little bit happier coming out of the bye. We'll see about that. And then defensively, we know that I think they have more holes this year than they did last year, and there's really no question about that. And I don't think that there's too much changing there, but I still like that, Nolan Smith getting back healthy, Jalen Carter having a nice year. I think the front is good enough to make up for some of the sins on the back end.
the kind of the quirk of a schedule. They had the mini bye after they got throttled by the Giants, and they really did come out of that retool. The under center stuff, the under center play action stuff, which has just been like, it feels like it's so obvious. But sometimes teams are just so like annoying. I mean, and sometimes we joke. Sometimes it's like, oh, run more motion, run more play action, do this, and it's like a magic wand. And it's like it's not always like that. But for the Eagles, it was like you have the horses, so it probably is kind of a magic wand, like just doing this. And I agree with you. I've liked the tweaks of the offense. I'm glad you brought up the jumbo stuff. I think that's been an inspired choice for them because it's not something the Eagles have done in the past too much. And it's, I mean, one of the first 4 or 5 weeks, one of my frustrations with this offense was they're trying to do all this 2 tight end stuff, even 3 tight end stuff, and none of their tight ends are good blockers. Like they were, I mean, Grant Calcaterra might be the worst tight end blocking tight end in the NFL. He's absolutely awful. And so, now you get Dallas Goedert back, then you go jumbo tight end. So if you do 2 tight end looks, he is the the off tight end, which I think is more conducive to his skill set. And this offense with Hurts has always been hyper concentrated as far as where this more than anyone, how the targets go. It's AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and then Goddard. But then the auxiliary players, the third receiver, even the running back, the second tight end, whoever the adjuster is, doesn't get a lot of targets at all. Like if you just even look, yards per route run, targets per route, it's always low.
Oh, yeah.
So I actually think of more than most offenses going jumbo fits them in the weirdest way, even though they're usually a spread team. So I think I just really like that tweak. I know it's a simple tweak, but it really has boosted so much of their stuff. And, Hurts can be uneven, but I actually think now he's made a couple throws that it's like the touchdown throw to AJ Brown against the Vikings, the second one. And then Sunday, he had a couple more throws just were in the rhythm of the offense, over the middle, in the flow. And I was like, he doesn't have to be what I want to see on my top guys that just, Stafford throwing digs over and over. He doesn't have to be that. They don't need that. But just enough, just make the defense honor it so they just can't run certain looks and can't just go man coverage and be like, well, we don't have to worry about this. So I do think my woes with them and why I have them 9th right now, and maybe not even a true contender, I would say, is the defense, which I think is average. But that's a big drop off from what they were last year, which was the best defense in football. Their pass rush is okay. They can't really stop the run, which is always going to be a worrisome thing for me, especially in the NFC. If you look at the top teams in the NFC and how many can run the ball, they're 25th in rushing success rate allowed, 25th in DVOA, rushing DVOA, I should say. So they can struggle against the run, and they can struggle against if you target anyone that's not named Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Like you can really get their guys, the other corner on an island and really pick him apart. And again, when you're talking about contender or a good playoff team, to me, they're a playoff team. Lock it. I think they have enough on offense. They can run it and they can throw explosives. But defensively is where I just can't get over the top at this point. Now they have their bye week this week, and you might get the Vic Fangio voodoo, after the bye week. So they can easily rise up this rank. His 9th might be a little harsh for me, but like I'm kind of waiting and seeing because there's just something a little off right now with the defense. So maybe that's why I had them a little lower than you. But yeah,
I think you have them too low, and I think I might have them too high. So if we Goldilocks,
I know it's somewhere in the middle.
I think that's
should be like 6.
it's probably somewhere in the middle.
I like talking it out. That's what it feels like. They're like the top non-contender team for me right now, if that makes sense. Spoilers, but as we talk about a few more, the other teams that we both have in the top 5, I think the Lions, I think their defense has been so good, even with the injuries on the back end. And then the offense is funny. Like if their underlying stats, like rushing success rate and everything, not that good, like bottom 10, but then DVOA, they're top 7. Like because they've gone against some good run defenses, so probably more average-ish. But it's the Lions. Like I know their run game's going to be fine over time. I'm kind of waving it away, and then their DBs are getting healthy, which has been one of my big kind of bugaboos with them. But their front 7 is so good, and they can rush the passer, they can stop the run, they can get physical. So it looks like a contender to me, like at least in my eyes. That's why I have them at 2, and you have them at 1. So anything you want to add on with that?
No, I've just been really impressed with them this year. I think that Dan Campbell did a great job in terms of promoting the coaches here. I think John Morton, we were both a little skeptical how it started, but it smoothed out into that. It's funny, the run game numbers, you're right. I think it must be schedule induced, because every week I watch the run game and I feel like they're getting better and better. You know, the guards, I think, have been on a steady increase every single week. I really like how Sam Laporta has been used this year, both run and pass game as well. So, I think the offense was maybe the one I had more questions about. And then Kelvin Shepherd is just another guy bringing a lot of juice to the equation here. As if they needed more juice bringers in Detroit, they've got another one, and I like what he's done on that side of the ball too. So everything is just working out for the Lions, which no surprise, man. They're such a well-built team. They make smart decisions, even when people question them. They make smart decisions. So I no surprise. They're the best team right now. If I was to say which team I feel the most comfortable with, if they were the top seed in the conference, just making it all the way to the Super Bowl, I think it would be Detroit.
Yeah, they're the NFC team I feel the best about right now, which is so funny. I had questions about them, and they're answering every test. Like that's all you can do. You can play who's on your schedule, and they're finding different ways. I think Goff is playing really good football, and their passing game gets it done. Like, it's just, I'm on Ross St. Brown, as the straw that stirs the drink for the passing game. But then it's like all the other guys slot in so nicely. So it's like you said, Sam Laporta might have some games where they design some stuff for him. Brock Wright will get in there. But then the running backs are dangerous as pass catchers. Jameson Williams is still there. So Khalif Raymond, Isaac Tesla, it's like, but they have, the auxiliary pieces aren't negative players. They're interesting players, or they're good role players, which is the sign of a very good team. When your auxiliary players, the role players, are like guys that could potentially be something down the road, or they're like a guy like Khalif Raymond who's really good in his role, or you have two running backs that are really good in their roles, or just stars in Jahmyr Gibbs' case. Like, that's the signs of a good team. Like, it's their biggest blemishes are I think there's the interior offensive line. And I think at worst, they're average, like that's, and I would say they're all above average at this point in time. So yeah, Lions are a team I kept asking questions about, but the more I watch them, seeing a Lee McNeil back in there too, that defensive front, just a scary team. And they're so well coached, like you said. It's just Dan Campbell's just got them going. I love the fourth down aggressiveness. I know it's kind of like, oh yeah, Campbell's going to do it. It's such a cool thing to watch this team though. It's like 4th and 4, and you see other teams going like, and then it's like the Lions have no hesitation. They're just all out there going like, yep, here we go, 4th and 4. All right, let's go, guys. Like, that's when you're a defense going against that. That's just like, oh my God, this is just exhausting. Like, because they can just do anything against you. So yeah, my number 2 team, your number 1 team. I'll go say the Chiefs, my number 1 team right now. Feels a little trite. Feels a little passe. It feels like a little kissing the boot here, licking the boot here, I should say, kissing the ring, but it's real. And I know it's annoying, and I wish I had an original thought. You have them at 6, so it's not like you're like, oh, what? I really, it's just watching this offense. I'm like, oh, they got it again. They're scoring on over half their drives, which 51% of their drives, which would be an excellent number if this season didn't have the Colts offense. It's the highest for a Chiefs offense since Mahomes' first year starting, 2018. The run game is above the threshold I look at, 41% rushing success rate. If you hit 40%, you're good. Their run stuff rate, which I thought was interesting, they get stuffed at the lowest rate in the NFL, 9.9%. It's the lowest that the Chiefs have had since Mahomes has been a starter, highest EPA per run since Mahomes has been a starter. So I'm mentioning all these things because the pass game's cooking now. Of course, you got Thornton as was the leader of this offense, but now Kelsey is slotted into his role. Rashee Rice is back out there. Xavier Worthy is now slotted into a right role for him. Juju Smith-Schuster as well. Mahomes' air yards to target is 7.69, which is the highest it's been since 2020. And he's getting pressured at the lowest rate since 2019. So yes, he's scrambling more, but I think they're finding the balance of what this year's version is. And I think it's an explosive version that's only going to get better as the weeks go along. And then on defense, I mean, the defense is a top 10 defense. It's not perfect, but again, Spags always does this, and they'll probably get a boost as the season goes along, because that's what Spags does. And already the bones of it, the baseline of it, to me, is a top 12 defense, I'll call it. But now you got the formula. To me, it's like they're doing all the things. We'll see what happens with Josh Simmons coming back. Apparently he might start practicing again. Hopefully everything's all right with the personal stuff. But even without him, this offensive line has been so much better this year, which you can feel when they throw the ball, when they run the ball. They have a high success rate throwing the ball. Mahomes is Mahomes. Like, he is an MVP candidate, again, justifiably. So to me, they have the formula to me that works. And when I just trust Spags, I trust Mahomes, and now they have players making plays for them in the passing game, which has been like the one thing I kept my eye on. They feel fast again. So maybe that's where I want to get to. Is like they just feel fast. And then now the defensive backs are sorting out. You got Jalen Watson playing good ball, I think. Yeah, I don't know. They're doing a lot for me. It's not perfect. There's always some stuff that I'm like, I hate that design, or like, Spags, why'd you do that? But it's like, you got to trust it. I'm kind of waving it away. It's like, yeah, I got to trust it. And the underlying numbers are pointing to stuff that you can trust. So I see you have them at 6. You're not saying that I'm out of line here totally, but maybe some of the things that like maybe are causing you maybe a little hesitancy to not put them up in your top 5.
Yeah, I think some of the things that were problems at the beginning of the season, I don't want to just totally wave away.
Very fair.
You know, I don't want to just say, hey, right. And it's worth pointing out the last 2 games where I think they have looked fantastic have been against the Raiders and what's left of the Washington Commanders. Obviously, they had a really big win against Detroit the week before that. So I'm not saying they haven't, who they've beaten or whatever, you know, but these last 2 games when they have been an absolute machine, and when everything is working, you know, it has been lower level of competition. That being said, I mean, it wasn't as if they got off to a great start in the game last night on Monday night, so which was just kind of fluky, right? I mean, there's the one we mentioned, Josh Simmons, the one play where Jalen Moore just gets completely ragdolled, you know, thrown to the ground. I can't remember who the Washington pass rusher was that got him on that one. Was it? I know you're talking was it about. Martin? Yeah. But anyways, I don't remember. But
yeah, it was Martin.
It was Martin. Yeah. So it throws him to the ground, and like, it's like, oh boy, here we go. And then, you know, the couple of weird the one interception I think was just on Mahomes, like, not, you know, it's a tough back shoulder ball to friggin' Hollywood Brown. What are we doing here? Which, by the way, I'll come back to that in a second. And then the other one dunks off Kelsey's face.
He's not coming out of this unscathed.
No, he's not coming out of this unscathed. It kind of dunks off Kelsey's face, whatever. But then once they really got into a rhythm, you know, that's something that feels different now than it was at the beginning of the season, and frankly feels different than the last couple years with the Chiefs offense, that when they are in rhythm, they're just impossible to stop. They can really overwhelm you. Mahomes and Rashee Rice specifically are lights out against zone coverage. The way that they're using Rashee Rice right now is basically like, just write in pencil 5 catches at the beginning of the game and go from there. Like, pretty much every single week he's going to catch 5 balls.
At least 2 plays designed for him in the red zone. Like,
exactly. Like, he's just going to be an absurd producer, and I think it's nice to see him look as explosive as ever. That was one thing I was curious about coming off the injury. Apart from the fact that I still want to see like more to his game from a true, you know, wide receiver, quote unquote, downfield routes, things of that nature. I also was like, okay, is he going to come back as explosive as he was last year? 100%. Yes, he looks as explosive as ever. But back to that downfield passing game, I think the one thing that I just keeps him out of my top 5 is I'm trying to imagine when they go against a good team, a team that can play a lot of man coverage against them, because Mahomes is truly unstoppable right now going against zone coverage. It's unbelievable what he can do from an eye manipulation perspective, like scanning the field like everybody's eligible, basically. I mean, I know, like, truly everybody in the route, whatever.
No, that's
but
a good way
like, you gotta.
That's great.
Yeah, you've got to be aware. This is not one of those. All right, 1 to 2 and scramble, bail on the play, and he does scramble and bail on plays at times. But like, if you're deep in the progression, you better be ready, because there's a chance he can get to you. There's a chance that he can get to you right now. That's how quickly he's seeing things, and just how in rhythm everything is offensively. But again, a really good team that can play a lot of man coverage against you, can kind of rough the receivers up at the line of scrimmage and disrupt some of that timing. I'm still, from a personnel standpoint, think that there's maybe one dimension missing here, but that's the difference between, again, being a top 5 team and being a team that I do think is clearly on the rise. Like, if we had done this exercise 3 weeks ago, I'm not sure I would have had them 6. So I think I'm paying dues a little bit here by bumping them up.
No, and I think it's fair. And I think maybe I'm going, like, you know, disco stewing it a little bit, you know, to the moon, you know, like stock go up. And I think what you say, their tests coming up. So they play the Bills next week, which I'll talk about the Bills in a sec, but their defense is not really putting the fear in a lot of people right now. Then they have their bye. which is every Chiefs team under Andy Reid and every Chiefs team under Steve Spagnuolo, when he's the defensive coordinator, gets a gigantic bump after their bye week. That is a factual statement. It is. Yep. You can look every year, every single year, and they get the perfect timing for a bye, week 10. Perfect split of the season, and they play the Broncos after that. So great test in week 11, and then they go Colts, Cowboys, then Texans, Chargers, Titans, Broncos, and then Raiders. But we got some great tests there on top of some cupcakes in the middle. But there's more to it. I was very frustrated with this offense. I went on a rant with them, with you. I think it was just more the offensive ideas was, your guys aren't healthy, but do something different than what you're trying to do. And now they've just sprinkled on some new stuff. They cut out some of the bullshit. I will say, but I do still think that's always going to be part of Andy Reid's offensive philosophy. But I do think just Mahomes is, like you said, is a machine against zone. Maybe a team like the Broncos that can live in man coverage. That is the best test.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Defenses. That'll be really interesting. How does the pass protection hold up? How they play? Well, you don't really want to blitz Mahomes, but how that's going to be a great test. So there's a lot of good underlying stuff happening. I think maybe just the offensive line boost has just really just done a lot for me. And just where I think this offense could be. I don't think it's the best offense in the league, but I think, man, I'm feeling good about it right now. Way better than I did a month ago. Some other teams that we had up here. I mean, the Packers. I'm feeling really, really good about them. Let's start with the Colts. All right. Best parts about the Colts.
Hey, real quick, I just wanted to, just because we were just talking about the Chiefs.
Is there more news breaking? Is there another news breaking, or is this another? Is this another bit?
Pacheco just has a MCL sprain. He's week to week. He banged up. That just got announced. So I mean that.
There you go.
Brashard Smith and Kareem Hunt. By the way, Kareem Hunt, it's like if you need 10 yards, he's going to get you 3. But if you need 3 yards, he's going to get you 4 potentially, and it's going to look pretty cool doing it. Like he's been great in short yardage.
Have you ever heard of Leroy Horde?
No.
He was an old Vikings running back in the 90s, and he is Kareem Hunt right now. There's about 5 people that'll know who I'm talking about listening to this show. God, he is Leroy Horde right now. That's all I can picture when I watch Kareem. He caught that touchdown, amazing. And you would have think he won the Super Bowl with that score. The one that he caught last. Oh my God, because I turned it back on. Baseball is on too. Great multi-view. Loving my multi-view. World Series baseball, Monday Night Football, and oh my God, after he scored that touchdown, he was, I was like, oh God, all right, Kareem, you feel good about that one, didn't you? Let's talk about the Colts real quick, because they're kind of the other AFC team at the top, and you had them. I mean, we both have them top 5. Obviously, I had them at 4. You had them at 3, and really, I could have argued for them at 3 or 2, or shoot. Some feelings 1, because you look at this freaking offense. I mean, just real quick, 3.46 points a drive. Anything above 3 is an all-time offense. They're almost a half point above that. And I know I've seen the stats, like other people are sharing that. First in DVOA, first in offensive DVOA, 12th in defensive DVOA, which is a little higher than I would expect. It's 7th in special teams DVOA, which is not nothing. Not only is their run game incredible, at 49% rushing success rate, and then just watch Jonathan Taylor obliterate every safety angle that you see. They're not really using Daniel Jones's legs, which I think is cool, which I think is maybe helping him out a little bit, because he's not maybe concussed as he's about to throw the next football, as you're watching Brian Dable use Jackson Dart and lost cause games and using him like a battering ram.
Oh my God.
Really worried.
That is a
really
great
worried
point.
About really trying to develop Jackson Dart. Let's run him into a stacked defensive box over and over, even though we're down 3 scores. Yeah. Okay. But the defense, I have some issues with. I don't think it's a great defense, but then kind of Lou Anarumo's the wild card. And he just, as long as they're average, and they have those safeties, and they actually get a lot of pressure, which I actually was surprised by. Or a decent, they're second in pressure rate for a defense right now. The Broncos are only one higher. And they got Lou Anarumo kind of like, once he gets kind of the game plan, Lou Anarumo, that kind of is an interesting wild card. So I kept him at 4th, but I could easily argue them higher. You had him 1 spot higher, but strengths, obviously the offense, but any maybe blemishes that maybe you're focusing on with the Colts right now.
Yeah, I think still the cornerback situation is one that bears monitoring. They kind of get, and this is like so minor nitpicky. This is when you know you're a good team. When I'm going to say they kind of get stung by these small, fast guys every now and again. I think about Troy Franklin's game against them a few weeks ago, almost like a month ago at this point. Chimere Dike, who by the way is playing pretty good football for the Tennessee Titans. He's playing really well right now. So shout out to them. He's better than Alec Iomanner, but I mean, like that, he got him for a couple of those like horizontal stretch plays a little bit. I think when teams can really, which by the way, if we're talking about AFC playoffs, like going against the Colts, nobody, or he's going against the Chiefs, nobody's better at the horizontal stretch pass game and getting guys into space. So that I can already see it now. You know, literally Worthy, Rice, just a bunch of crossers and mesh and everything like that. Yeah, that is at least something to file away here. Not to like spook Colts fans already, but that is one like kind of nitpick about this team, that they do consistently get bit by those type of receivers. But otherwise, I do think the coverages on the back end are good, and like a Mahomes type quarterback can probably. I mean, we've seen Anarumo have success against Mahomes at times, but you know, he's the type of player who can solve that. But other quarterbacks are going to get fooled and make mistakes there and not find the open guys when you kind of mug up the number one. That's the thing. I think this team is pretty good at taking away primary threats and making you play a little bit left-handed. And if you've got the right type of offense, that they probably can find those holes in this defense, but otherwise they mug things up front. They mug things up on the back end. I like that. Offensively, I don't really have, other than just any sort of Daniel Jones trap door, which I guess that's always going to be in the back of your mind, but he's given us with it's different. I think people will compare this to Sam Darnold last year, when it's like, oh, well, when the games mattered at the end, that's when the trap door fell for Sam Darnold or whatever. But Darnold, I think, had shown you some signs that like those parts of his game,
and this is
in
a better
that offense. 100%, right? Like he had shown you some signs that that was like present, right? When he would get under pressure, and it's a very, very, very vertical offense. That was something we said last year, even with the Vikings, that it was, man, when are they going to have kind of a little bit of a, like, they need more layups here. They need more easy buttons for Sam when he gets into chaos mode. And it was just, no, push it, push it, push it. This offense is littered with easy buttons for Daniel Jones. So he has not, it's just 8 weeks into the season, so it could still happen. But I don't think he's given us any reason through 8 weeks to be like, see, when it happens, it's going to be because of this.
Exactly. The worst game was the Rams game, and they caught him twice where they got him, you know, and maybe there's one other one that they dropped. But that was the thing. It was, okay, they could have won that game if A.D. Mitchell doesn't drop the ball at the 1 yard line.
Exactly.
Like, it's not like it wasn't like lost by 4 scores and 7 years ago. But no, it wasn't like it wasn't anything like that. It was just that this offense churns, and we talk about it all the time. They just have a lot of good. There's just a lot of B plus, A minus players throughout this entire offense and roster, really. And even the guy that I think is the biggest negative on their offense, the center, Bortolini, has been so much better in the last couple of weeks. So it's, I've totally gave up, like going like, oh, this is going to drop off. Like, I think this is just such a good operation. The designs are awesome. They get Warren going sometimes. All right, next play, Michael Pittman gets going. All right, 3rd and long. All right, here comes the deep ball to Alec Pierce, who's dunking on everybody. And that's another thing. Their 3rd and long plan, which what you're speaking to, like kind of the Darnold trapdoor, the Daniel Jones trapdoor, 3rd and long is like these automatic pass situations or heavy pass situations. They have the plan that I like. They're not throwing and catching and running or getting heated up and have to throw hot. They block it up. And then Daniel Jones unpins their grenade and launches it, which is what I'm a huge believer in as an offensive, like, kind of philosophy. I think that's the way you have to go about it on 3rd and long. And it works because they have Pierce, and then they have Daniel Jones, who's trusting what he's seeing. And the designs are really, really good. And they're getting into them every week in, week out. They get into some cool 3rd and long design. So, yeah, I keep going. Do I think this is going to be a historically great offense? Maybe not, but now I'm like, well, maybe, because I'm not. The O-line's good. Jones is playing really well. They don't turn the ball over. They don't get a lot of penalties. Like, it's just a clean, really good operation right now. And Jonathan Taylor looks absolutely incredible. So,
you know what I think I'm thinking about as you're talking about this, that I kind of think this offense is a weird blend of the two things that you and I probably really like in offenses, besides the fact they have a good run game, they're real well coached and all that stuff. I think that's something that scratches both of our itches. But you like what you just said there, the vertical on third down, like really block it up and launch it, which I'm that too. But the thing that really gets me going is that in the red zone, they weaponize and I know they just like Michael Pittman just dunked on somebody last week in the end zone. So fair enough, but they don't do a lot of the dumb, stupid, like, oh, let's throw a fade to one of our tall guys. Let's weaponize our small separator who the guy who gets open like this in an instant in small condensed areas in the large section of the field. Josh Downs, let's weaponize that close. I wish more teams would do that, and not enough teams do that. I even think the Rams, who we're going to talk about in a second, they get into that all right, well, we're in the red zone, time to throw a fade. No, why don't you do more with the guy who's open at every other level of the field in Puka Nacua? Right. I mean, far be it for me to criticize Sean McVay, but that's just, I think they're the blend of the two things that you and I really like in these micro but critical down and distance situations.
They, I think it was the Warren touchdown against the Chargers. It was just I know you bring up downs and stuff like that, but even that one, it was just a thoughtful design. It's like you're saying, it's real design. It's because a fade, I understand the fade in a classical sense is that, it's an advantage read. And I think some teams have really gotten away from that. I notice how a lot of RPOs are run anyways, is when you have Randy freaking Moss, it's an advantage against anyone you go against. But then a lot of teams go, one-on-one, that's our number one receiver. But it's can your number one receiver actually dunk on guys, or is it just a theory? But
the Bucs threw fades to Sterling Shepard and Emeka Egbuka in last week's game. And I adore both of those players at different levels. And I think Egbuka's a dog, but come on, what are we doing here?
Mike Evans? Yeah. But any other, right. But I'm totally with you. Yeah, I know. So it's complimenting the Colts is that there's a lot of thoughtfulness. It's not just doing stuff to get a couple tweets on, people going oh, that was a cool play design. It was no, this is actual good design, but the players are getting in good spots. So Colts, top 3 team, top 4 team. I think easy contender for me. I would say, even with the defensive stuff, I think they have answers. As long as their corners can hold up. All right, Rams, you hinted at them. You had them at 5. I had them at 3. What you got about the Rams? What you thinking about them right now? They survived the non-Puka Nacua game, so hopefully they come back after their, take a deep breath and come back from it. But what are you thinking about the Rams right now?
Yeah, and I love how they went from the most consolidated passing game in the NFL between two guys, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, to then we spread it out to basically everybody at the beginning of that game against the Jacksonville Jaguars before the bye. I thought that was really that's a feather in the cap of why Sean McVay is really, really good at this. So, they survived the Puka game. They get Roger McCreary. I think they needed a cornerback addition here. I kind of liked that one as well. So, this is a great team that's really difficult to play against on both sides of the ball. The pass rush can obviously overwhelm you. If you do not come with a good protection plan, the Rams are going to make your life real tough on that Sunday, Monday, Thursday, whatever. And obviously offensively, when Stafford's hot, he's as good as any quarterback in the NFL, and he's been white hot so far this season. So I think this is a team that could go the distance, no question about it, as long as everybody's healthy.
That's it. You kind of nailed it for me. They look like a contender to me. They have the formula. They can run the ball. They could get to different runs. They're running more zone this year, which I think is cool because it's just they're not committed to exactly they're not saying okay, this is our offensive plan and this is what we have to do. I thought the Jags game plan was so cool. All right, Nakua's out. All right, here comes some tight ends. Go 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends. We'll run 3 tight ends more than we have in years. In one game, we'll basically double our rate than we did the previous 3 seasons. The passing game's explosive. They have a man-to-man answer in Devontae Adams now. It's just one of these things. As long as they're healthy, and they've shown that they can protect Stafford. It's even with some injuries on the O-line, they still have a game plan, and Stafford is just reading the game so well. He'll have his moments where he tries a little too much, but it's I don't know, they can withstand that. And then on defense, it's a really funky defense. Chris Shula has done a great job. His game plan stuff is really, really good. He'll probably get some hype now as a head coach, I think. And it's kind of cool because I think it's justified as opposed to just, a notable last name.
Bloodlines.
Yeah. Like, it's like, no, this is good stuff. The McCreary trade I really liked because McCreary's a really smart player. He's always been a guy I've been fond of. He's not usually my type of player either, short arm kind of guy, a little smaller, but man, he's so smart. He can play in the slot. He can do invert roles like as a safety. He's pretty solid on the outside, but I always think he's best in the slot. They've been running a lot of dime. So I think that's interesting too. Like him, Lake, the Cams, their safeties are pretty interesting as well. Their defense kind of has some similarities to the Colts where it's very safety based, smart safeties in the corners are just a little but I really like this addition. And then, like you said, the pass rush, they're 5th in pressure rate. Their defense is actually 2nd in DVOA, but they feel like a top 10 defense to me. And good against the run, which has always been the thing I'm worried about with them because they're a little smaller up front. And I think that's where, when Poona Ford's been out there, it's really helped. But they're 12th in rushing success rate allowed. They're 8th in DVOA against the run. That's so encouraging. And they're disruptive. Byron Young has been excellent. He was tied for the league and lead in sacks going into last week. Of course, Jared Verse is a all pro caliber pass rusher. They got other guys, auxiliary rushers. They got a great game plan. They to me are very much a contender because any questions I had, they've kind of answered so far. And I just think their highs are as good as anybody. And they always have good game plans. And the fact that they're able to do the tight end stuff is so encouraging because now that's just something in their back pocket. So when Nakua comes back, all right, this defense sucks against 2 tight end looks or 3 tight end looks. All right, we got that now. Like we can use it as opposed to, it's just always, that's what playoff football is. Or you watch any playoff sport, watch playoff basketball. It's all about the matchups that you can create. So yeah, I feel as good about the Rams as anybody. The other team that we had in our top 5, another NFC team, Packers, which I think is a full-blown contender. And I'll just start with, because I think Jordan Love is an MVP candidate. They can run the ball, and they're super explosive. And also, I'm a big fan of Romeo Doubs now, who's like becoming one of my more favorite guys. Yeah. Tucker Kraft rocks, of course. And then now they got Christian Watson. They got Golden going. They're figuring out the O-line. That's like the one thing, but I trust it because they have depth. They have the formula on offense. They have a pass rush on defense. They're really good in zone. They're a really good tackling team. To me, they're a full-blown contender. That's why I had them. I was actually surprised you had them higher. I had them 5. You have 4. But it was hard for me to bump them above like the Colts and even the Rams. But man, I'm feeling really good because they have a closer on each side. Jordan Love, Micah Parsons. You feel really good about that. But anything with the Packers and how you feeling about them? Because you even had them higher than me.
Yeah, and again, they're another team that I just want to note they smoked a defense that they're a particularly good matchup
smokable
against
defense.
The smokable defense in the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're a particularly.
Which you feel so good about saying because you've been banging the drum. You're like, this defense is not good. This defense is not good.
Yeah, I went from I think week 1 last year, I was like, this defense could be one of the best in the league, and then over the summer, I was like, ring. Nope. I hate to say this, guys, but like sometimes if you make your whole team around old guys, it falls apart really fast. Look at Washington. Who we just talked about. It's like, oh man, everybody's injured. I wonder why. Probably because they're all old. But yeah, Green Bay in particular is like the young and fast team. So they were just from a base meathead brain dead football perspective, they were a really bad matchup for that defense. So obviously, of course, want to see what it looks like, but they don't have like that many intimidating games on their schedule here coming up either. Carolina, Philadelphia, that is a unity that we can attack, as you just said earlier. The Giants, they've got some good games here coming up where they can continue to stack things on offense. And yeah, even Matthew Golden, who I know fantasy players are really irritated, of course, and whatever. He's funny because among 94 receivers who have 20 plus targets this year, he ranks first, or excuse me, he ranks 9.7 yards per target, is 17th among those players, and then he's third in success rate, or 9th in success rate, and third in EPA per target, but he's 79th in targets per route run, which is like that's what this team wants to be. They're not going to funnel anybody the football, but when you get the ball, make plays and do your job. And right now, everybody, even Christian Watson, coming off an ACL that he tore this year. He tore that thing in January, and he's coming in there and he's making plays. So yeah, they just going to throw so much at you on offense. Josh Jacobs isn't even healthy right now, and the run game has still been successful. So that's impressive. Yeah, I'm really high on this Packers team, and the fact that they have Micah Parsons who can just close games out for them. It's a pretty sweet formula over there.
That's it. Some of their offensive philosophy can be frustrating, especially second and longs, but it's like they kind of know that. It's so funny. Like LaFleur knows, like, yeah, I know stats say you should throw the ball more on second and long, but we just want to get to third and manageable. And it's like, yeah, I get it. You guys are really good on third down. Jordan Love's great. You can make it easier on yourself. You know, you can get the first down on 2nd and 7 or 2nd and 9, you know, as opposed to making a 3rd and 4, got to have it, or 3rd and 5, got to have it. There's not a lot of cheapies in this offense. So what you're saying, you know, the Golden Stat's kind of perfect. It's a real offense. Like the passing game is very real and very downfield. So like you're saying that the flow of they'll run a lot of, I didn't want to get too inside baseball on this, but they run a lot of concepts that are all field concepts, like, and not pure progression. It's against cover 2, you go to this side. Against cover 4, you're going here. Against cover 3, you're going here. Against man, you're going here. Against the blitz, you're going here. That takes a quarterback operating well. That takes a schemer getting to those right plays and going like, well, we do prefer this, because then you can narrow it down. But then what you're saying is every receiver has to be live. So that means every receiver has to be like, I'm running my route to the freaking fullest, because I might not get the ball 8 out of 10 times, but against this look, I am getting the ball, so I better be at my spot. So that's why you need a lot of valid receivers, because anyone can get the ball. That's a good point. And so, so kind of what we're both saying is that the guys are worthy of getting the ball right now. Like that, they are making the plays on top of, you know, Tucker Kraft, of course, is people are saying now tight end 1, and even I'm going like, yeah, if you guys want to say that, sure. I'm not stopping. I like him too. Yeah, I don't know. But it's just Dobbs has just been so cool to me, man. Like that is, I'm way high. I don't know how I truly stack him. That's going to take some time. But man, he's worthy of those targets, and he's beating guys and running kind of all routes to me anecdotally are live to him. I don't think he's just a limited X or it just has to be used in certain ways. I'm not running screens for him, but they don't run a lot of receiver screens. They have an old school type of offensive philosophy that I really like. So I just think the offense is really cool, and then I just think the defense, maybe a quarterbacks that can torch zone coverage, Matthew Stafford, maybe can give them some issues down the road. But right now, to me, they're a contender because, I mean, freaking Parsons and that pass rush is terrifying. And they're such a good tackling team that they just tighten and tighten as the game goes along. So Jeff Hafley gets a lot of props as well. That was fun. That's our top 5. We got a whole another 5 coming up after the break. We're going to take that quick break. But before we do that, check us out on the Yahoo Sports Network, available to stream on leading fast services or Yahoo Sports or on yahoosports.tv. We're going to take that break and we'll come back with power rankings 6 through 10. A couple teams we already talked about, but there's a few other ones that I think is very interesting to get to. See you guys in a sec. All right, we are back for the second half of our power rankings. This is 10 through 6, 6 through 10, however you want to put it. I'll start with mine. At 10, I have the Patriots, which I'm already kind of regretting. But 9, you got the Eagles. 8, Broncos. 7, Bills. 6, Seahawks. Matt, who'd you have 10 through 6? I see you had your honorable mentions in there too, and I wanted to put mine in as well. But what were your 10 through 6?
I threw a couple honorable mentions in there, just you know, cover your ass a little bit. But no, number 10, I have the Chargers. Of course I do. I still very much believe in this team. I got the Bucs at 9, the Bills at 8, the Seahawks at 7, and then the Chiefs, as we mentioned, I have at number 6.
Yeah, we already talked about the Chiefs. Honorable mention, I see you had 49ers and Broncos. My honorable mentions, if anyone cares, I had the Texans and the Bucs as my honorable mentions. The Chargers, I'll just even say. Brave. Yeah, it's just the defense.
You have more faith in the Texans and the Chargers right now? Sorry, that was a very accusatory tone.
But I don't want to say I like either one. So let's talk about the Chargers. Let's talk about the Chargers. So you have them at 10, and I have them, technically I have them at 13, I guess would be the way to put it. So, but yes, talk about the Chargers. I'll tell you why maybe I have the limitations. Hint, it's the offensive line. It's the offensive line is really freaking bad. That's my hint, is their offensive line is really bad. And they can't stop the run.
They can't stop specific types of runs. That's the thing. Okay. Perimeters, speed to the perimeter, not happening. But you know, when the friggin' Vikings try to go like an at you run game on Thursday night, completely they can still block. I have no idea. Well, I mean, in fairness to them, their offensive line is banged up, and their kind of perimeter run is Aaron Jones, who's, coming off a major injury. Yeah, right. He's older, whatever. But so I kind of get that. But I think they can still shut down those more like at you run games. It's the stuff that to the perimeter that really haunts this team. Yeah, I mean,
that's fair.
I always come back to the Ja'Cory Crossy-Merritt game that they let up. I mean, really, like JCM's one good game this year that justified all that offseason buzz. He was just smoking them to the edge left and right in that one. But so I get it. They have that flaw. I do think Joe Alt being back, it doesn't fix everything on the offensive line, but it raises raises the floor significantly in both phases too.
Great point.
Run and pass. God, he is so good. And even Trey Pipkins being back,
he's like
an all-pro.
I've never been more sound, like all pro when he's healthy. That's an all pro left tackle. Yeah, that's a great point. No, that is something I should have mentioned. That's a great point. Him coming back is huge for this team.
It raises the floor and the ceiling, I think, considerably. Maybe not the ceiling, but it raises the floor of the offense considerably, and certainly just the floor of that unit overall. Both phases too. Kamani Vidal having a ton of success running off left tackle with Joe Alt there. I mean, he's just such a monster. He's one of the most enjoyable left tackles to watch right now. So no question, he's great. The receiving core is incredibly dynamic. Arande Gadsden is real. Like that's just crazy player that they can just drop in there. They already have this cool 3 receiver set, and now it's another target to squeeze out of there. And I mean, Trey Harris, their rookie receiver, even though he started the one game for Quentin Johnson a few weeks ago, he's still getting like over 40% of the snaps, which is key, 40% of the snaps in the last 2 games, because he's been a real asset as a blocker, which I did not see from his game really at Ole Miss, but he's added as a blocker. So when they go like multiple tight ends, he's usually the lone receiver on the field because he's an asset in the run game. So they just have a lot they can throw at you. The offense is very, very good. I'm sure you're going to point out some of the defensive holes, and I'll probably agree with those, but I just think they're the type of team that in a one-game setting in the postseason, they can go toe-to-toe because they have so many options on the offense that are layered, varied, and different, depending on the matchup, depending on the coverages where they can attack people.
Okay, I'm moving them up to 11. They're the first one out.
Okay.
No, but the Joe Alt thing is so key. That's something I actually should have not gloss over. It is just some of the. Hopefully Hampton comes back, because that would be really.
True, yeah.
I mean, can you think the skill players now for this offense? That's really actually really cool. It's just the defense is very matchup dependent, and that is by design. They just don't have a true the horses, I think, to be all the way up there. But the thing is, I'm keeping them one off. So if I have them at 11, it's just the offense is going to cook, and they're decent against the pass. Like, they're good against the pass. It's just that you can get them. There's designs that can get them. It's just that you can run on them, and that's just one of the things that always kind of hinders me with defenses, because you go against certain teams, and especially if you look at the AFC. Actually, AFC is not that crazy. I'll talk about this with a different defense, about who you can potentially go against. So really just some of those things where it's just like I'm scared about the bottom always falling out with this team, but maybe it's just I have a couple games in my head, and getting a guys like Alt back and potentially getting Hampton back. Now, like you said, Gadsden, who I really liked coming in this process. I had he was in my top 100, not my top 75, which is but big difference there. But no, I really did like him, and it's kind of cool to see him just be so like productive early on, like worthy of the touches. Again, I'll use that term. It's not just like, oh, happenstance, he's just wide open on this play. Like, Herbert loves his tight ends, and they're asking him to run real big boy routes down the field, and he's coming down with them. It's not just wide open, play action plays where he's on bootlegs or something like that. It's real drop back stuff. So as long as the Herbert stays upright, that's a really hard passing offense to defend. They have so many guys and so many different types of guys too. So maybe I've come around already in this discussion. So I'll have them at 11, just their first one off. But I just do think that some of the stuff can always fall out on them at any time because of the trench play. So maybe that's just my hindrance for them. But they do have a dude at quarterback, and they have a lot of answers right now. You had the Broncos off, and I had them at 8. So why were the Broncos 12 for you as opposed to maybe top 10, top 8? I know it's a huge breakdown. It's a huge jump of tier 8 to 12, but what's maybe hindering you with the Broncos right now?
Surtain set to miss a few weeks is really problematic for their team. That's something we actually should have said when we talked about the Chiefs going against them.
That's a great point.
Yeah, Surtain's probably not going to play. I mean, they'll play later in the season, so maybe that will be more of a test. But him set to miss some time is a real big problem for me. That Nick Bonito is awesome, and he'll continue to kind of be, I think, the driving force, the engine of that defense. But Surtain still, I think, is their best player, won the freaking defensive player of the year last year. So that's problematic. And then offensively, it's some of the stuff that we've talked about on the show. I'm still not 100% sure what to do with the performance last week, where I thought it was cool that the way they got Troy Franklin kind of going, the way that Pat Bryant showed up, and he's kind of steadily increasing his role. RJ Harvey with some of these sweet designer plays. This has been some of my stuff with this offense in general. It's like, okay, Courtland Sutton is a good player. He's a nice player. He cannot be the only guy who's impactful every single week. I don't know what to do with the fact that I got what I wanted last week, but also it was against the Dallas defense. That's something I'm still kind of working through. So it's some of the same stuff with the offense that I think still holds me back a little bit from being a top 10 team.
No, that's fair. I think the defense, they get a ton of pressure, a ton of sacks. They're hard to go against. There's certain ways you can, like, I do think certain run schemes can get after them. If you just kind of plow forward and just say like, hey, we'll be simple while you be exotic. I've always, again, that's something I believe in anyways, but again, it's more of a matchup thing. Only certain offenses can do that against this defense. I think the offense is average. It's even when I looked up the stats, 15th in DVOA, and I was like, yeah, that's about right. 22nd in success rate. Okay, that's kind of feels a bit more fair as well. They're very good. Again, it's the Sean Payton offense right now, and what they have to do with how they think of Bo Nix and what they're doing with Bo Nix is that, all right, we have these designer plays. If you survive them, you can defend this offense. If you don't, like the Cowboys couldn't defend anything, but if they get those haymakers in, good luck, because the defense can do that stuff, and they do enough on offense to kind of keep you honest. They can get explosive runs, like you mentioned, the RJ Harvey stuff. They don't take a lot of sacks. Turnover-wise, I don't think Bo Nix is the greatest, but at least the ball isn't going in harm's way a ton. And also he doesn't take sacks, so they're kind of staying out of those really bad situations. So they're 10th in EPA per play, which I think is a little high, but that also speaks to how good they're in the red zone and how good they are on those shot plays to generate some stuff. Huge test against the Texans defense coming up. I have them at 8th, and I feel like that's more fair. 8th, 9th, them and the Eagles, kind of like, I feel similar, but on different avenues, I guess, like how I feel about the Broncos offense, how I feel about the Eagles defense, and vice versa kind of thing. But I just do think that it's the offense can do enough, even if I'm not like super, super high on them, because just Sean Payton, a good old line, and like you said, the auxiliary skill guys are really getting up there. They like Pat Bryant, so I was kind of glad to see him get a score. Somebody told me, we had one follower listen to us talk about him, and he said, I put money on him scoring an anytime touchdown this week because of what you guys said. I was like, hey, once in a while, there we go. Broken clock, right twice a day. Yeah, but this tier, I think this is fair to say, this 8 through 12 tier was the hard, 8 through 13 maybe tier was kind of the hardest ones to kind of parse, because again, these aren't the true contenders to me. I don't think you have the Chargers as a true contender. I'll speak for you. I don't have the Broncos as a true contender. I really would say I have 6 teams as a true contender. So that's the Seahawks. I'm including them, actually. But let's go with another team that we both have up here. That's the Bills. Bills, you have at 8. I have at 7. What do you think about the Bills in this day and age in 2025? Because they're one of the, I get frustrated with them at sometimes, but then also I look at them sometimes, especially on offense. I'm like, wow, you guys can do that at any time. So what do you think about the Bills?
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. I wonder how nitpicky we are being with the team that still does have like all of the right ingredients. Great run game, great offensive line, well coached, good, one of the best quarterbacks in football.
Quarterbacks,
so it's like
defending MVP.
Yeah, right. So it's just, I think if we just say that, like that sounds a little bit more like a true contender team. That being said, I think the defense is a real problem. But the defense is a real problem.
Yes.
And I just think I think they just are not good enough from a pass catching personnel standpoint to get over the hump. And, they're a team that's been rumored to be in trade discussions. I'm wondering if any of those come up in our in our trade fantasies here, because I don't know. They might be too spooked to make an in-season trade after the Amari Cooper one went about as bad as it possibly could have last year. But that being said, I just think they're not good enough from a pass-catching personnel perspective, and I thought that going into the year. But the defense is probably the bigger problem. Like, I come away from the Bills last week and think, should you guys just not be one of the most run-heavy teams in neutral situations? Like, should you not just be a full-on ground-and-pound team, which is not the way you should ever think about a Josh Allen team, but that's just kind of where their run game is so good and their pass catchers leave so much to be desired right now.
They should be watching Packers film and just be like, I know you can be frustrating,
but just
run it. Yeah. I think that's what they could do. I think their offensive line's better than the Packers. I think Josh Allen, defending MVP, Love is playing great, but Allen's Allen, and I think their run game, Cook is great, and even
Cook
the backups are incredible when he's out there. Yeah, it's any run could go to the house. I love how the Bills can use a bunch of different personnel groupings, and really the best one right now is two backs with Reggie Gilliam. So it's using fullbacks with Josh Allen is actually helping out. This is actually something. This is just total aside. I didn't even think I'd be talking about this. Is a person I know that works with Tom Brady talked about. Tom Brady would say by this kind of second half of his career, they were trying every which way to get linebackers on the field. So they were really getting into two, fullback looks, a bunch of tight end looks, and trying to get defenses into base, because then Tom Brady could throw against that. And I feel like the Bills should be doing the same, which is so crazy that they're so spread and RPO heavy for so long. And, Joe Brady's been kind of morphing this offense into an under center, some play action, like their play action stuff, I think has always been good under center the last couple of years. Again, this is an offense that's like top 5 and everything. So we're being nitpicky.
Totally. We are nitpicking 100%.
But this is the difference. I have them at 7. I have them as the first team out as far as contenders, but because of the defense. But I think almost offensively, they almost have to be more simple. And I think that would actually help them in a way, maybe just kind of lower some of those blemishes. But I think it is a good offense. It's the defense. 26 DVOA, 30th against the run. Going into last week, they had the highest explosive run rate allowed on record, going back to at least 2002. It was they give up explosive runs, and the Panthers were getting there until Andy Dalton decided to just absolutely forget how to play football, and that you can't win that way. I can't think of a defense that's been like that and has won. Maybe the Patriots at the end of Brady's career, or Brady's career there in New England, but it's just a hard formula to win. They have the formula on offense, even if we want a little bit more from the pass catchers. But then I started kind of looking. It's not exactly a murderer's row of run games in the AFC. And so I'm kind of talking on both sides of my mouth here. Colts, unbelievable. 50% basically rushing success rate. They can take anyone else. Chiefs, it's about an average run game. Broncos, about an average run game. Steelers, these are teams that would be in the playoffs right now. Steelers, about an average-ish run game. Chargers, about an average-ish run game. Patriots, bottom 5 run game. So that is where maybe I'm watching too much Dune. There's kind of the golden path here for them where they can get to maybe a great matchups where they don't have to worry. Ed Oliver also got hurt, just to add on to this. But it's just maybe they have some path where they get the right matchups. But it's just, again, we're talking about a true contender shouldn't have to worry about that. They do have to worry about that. Certain matchups might not be great for them. So I think that's why I'm talking about the number 7 team here. It's not like I'm out on them, because I think the offense is awesome and Josh Allen's awesome and the run game's awesome. It's just that, I just think that defensive stuff is just a little too much for me to overcome. They get away with it with the Panthers and a great game script, but maybe against these better teams, but we'll see. We'll see kind of going forward with them. I think we're pretty fair about them. Other teams that we have on this kind of little chunk here, you have the Bucs at 9. I kept them out. I'll just say injuries are scaring me, and that's really it. And I think it's just a little too much of a high wire act on offense for me to kind of really set my, hang my hat on. I don't think the run game's good enough. I think Baker has been good, but we've kind of seen Baker crap out, on this hot run the last couple of weeks. And then the defense, I think the defense is good, but you can get them in certain ways. But you have the Bucs in your top 10 at number 9. What are you thinking about them?
I think they got a bye week at the right time. Get healthier on the other side of it. We'll see about Chris Godwin, but yeah, maybe Bucky Irving comes back. I think Emeka Egbuka getting back to 100%. That's one thing. Like, gotta remember, I didn't think this guy was going to play this side of the bye after that hamstring injury, and he's gutted it out through both games. And I think, not that he's played poorly or anything, but you've just seen some like Mayfield misses him. It's like, well, is he just a step slower than like Mayfield is used to? Because those guys clearly had really good chemistry. I don't think they just forgot how to play together. You wonder about stuff like that. Hassan Reddick, like, we'll see. But I mean, it's just I think they're getting the bye at the right time. It's kind of my take on them. They need to get healthier because I think they've just gotten to a point where, credit to them for surviving a lot of injuries to start the season, and they're going to have to continue to survive a lot of injuries. They're not getting everybody back, but I just wonder if they can be more the team that started the year from an efficiency perspective than they were to start the bye.
Yeah, and like I said, they're kind of like this tier that's like 8 to 13 for me, and it's just. Yeah, I think you nailed it. They get a lot of credit for what they've been doing and what Baker's been doing, surviving these injuries. But it's just the truth of it is that's really hard over a long season to kind of maintain that. You can get away with it against the Saints, even if you don't have a perfect day. But as you want to be this true high end team, that it's just there's some stuff missing, and it's not really their fault because obviously they've had such a good team makeup if they were healthy. Last ones that we have up here, I have the Patriots at 10. Defense isn't great, but they can stop the run. The run game isn't great, which is like, I'm just totally going against everything I believe in as far as team structure. But Drake May is freaking awesome, and their schedule's so easy. So it's like, this is kind of like an honorary number 10. It's like, they don't have the formula to me. They're ahead of schedule. They've taken advantage of this easy schedule. They should be getting credit for that, beating worse teams. That you should get credit for that. But also, it's not a perfect team. And they just are missing some of the real stuff. But man, May is really good, and it's kind of fun to watch. And he's been, they have a sound offense, even if it's not perfect right now. And you kind of see how it's looking right now. I mean, it's really funny to look at their splits. Like, you look at all the teams that are like top 10 in success rate. It's like, like they're 2nd in passing, 8th in rushing, 4th in passing, 5th in rushing. And then for the Patriots, who are 9th in success rate, 1st in passing, 27th in rushing. So it's like, who is making this offense go?
Hard to say.
I think I know what my answer is. But this is my one where I'm kind of going against my brain here, where I have them. I included them at 10. I acknowledge that I might be a little high, but I have to respect some of the record stuff. Do you have any Patriots thoughts that before we get to the last team in there?
Well, their schedule before their very late week 14 bye, Falcons. I don't know who the Falcons are.
Can anyone tell me what the Falcons are?
No freaking clue. I saw, all of our, peel back the curtain here. When somebody writes an article for the site, like there's a big email list that it gets blasted out to. I saw a subject before we hopped on here. CMAC on Falcons. I was like, I might actually click and read that one. I don't read everything that goes on our website. I might tune in to see what at least Charles thinks about his Falcons, because I've got no freaking clue. But so they play the Falcons, then they're in Tampa Bay to face the Bucs. That's a tough one, especially if they're healthier. But then Jets, Bengals, Giants, bye. Like, there's not that many tough games on this side of the bye. When they get back, then it's Bills, Ravens, Jets again, Dolphins. So those 2 games right after the bye, that will be interesting for where the Patriots are. But we've already seen them beat Buffalo in Buffalo, and this one's in New England.
Yep, it's a good point. I think we talked about it last week. It was just everyone that's going, well, they've played an easy schedule. It's like, well, they played the easiest schedule going forward too, so get ready to be frustrated. The Falcons, by the way, go Patriots, Colts, Panthers, Saints, Jets, Seahawks. So they currently have the number 12 overall pick, which is going to the Rams, which is something I'm keeping my eye on.
Have the number 12 overall pick.
Hey, James Pierce, man, you got to get him. You got to move up for a pass rusher. Got to do it. The last team that we both have in our 10 through 6, I have them at 6, and I consider them a contender, even if they're missing the run game. That's the Seahawks. I think that they have their bye. They just had their bye week. I think we'll see. They just have to get to average as a run game. They're like 22nd, I think, in kind of all the metrics I look at. 40% is kind of the golden number for me to be like a true contender, rushing success rate wise, other than the Chiefs when they've won Super Bowls, because it's Mahomes. But they actually have the number this year. but the passing game's explosive. I think the defense is a top 3 defense, and their DBs are about to get healthier. I understand that if they go in a negative game script, that they have to drop back, and just Sam Darnold dropping back. But guess what? Like, this passing game, he has faith in. The O-line's not great, but it's okay, I would say, as pass protection wise. It's okay. It can do enough. Like, and even against the Texans, where they could have had a terrible game script because they turned the ball over and had some negative plays, they were able to still put up points, still able to move the ball and do enough. And I think that's maybe probably going to be the worst performance we see from them. I just think, again, they have a formula that works as long as that run game, which again is a Kubiak Shanahan run game that just had their bye week. So I'm keeping my eye on how much it gets boosted up, but it just has to get to average. And this is a real contending team to me, because again, and also the team with the best special teams, according to DVOA, which is not for nothing. And when you're talking about tiebreakers in this, so I have them at 6, you have them at 7. What are your thoughts on the Seahawks right now?
They're probably first team off for me in terms of real contender. Which it's not a big insult. It's much better than we're splitting hairs here.
They're the Intercontinental champion. Yeah.
Right. We've gushed so much about this team. I feel like, especially the pass game, I don't need to go on and on and on about the passing game. But I will say, just on the rushing attack, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because I've seen enough football to know like how this goes sometimes, that and because it's such a big talking point in the fantasy community, like the Charbonnet versus Kenneth Walker split, and I keep coming back. I know constantly. It's actually kind of nauseating, but even like I made a light joke about it and got bullied in my mentions for even making a light joke about Zach Charbonnet being decent. But anyways, I can see in my mind's eye, because I truly believe, and I have no inside knowledge on this, but I truly believe a big part of why they're using Charbonnet in the way that they are is to keep Kenneth Walker fresh. And so that now when it's time to win some football games late in the year, now we can give him 20 carries because the season's almost over, and I feel like I see a December to remember type run for Kenneth Walker as they go into the playoffs. So I don't know. That's just that to me is kind of what could help really take this run game to another level.
I tap my nose at that, because I'm with you. They've even said it. Hey, it's a long season. We want to keep Kenneth healthy. Like, we know how explosive he is. We want to keep him healthy. They said that before the season. And so I'm right there with you. Like, and that's the thing about Charbonnet, and I keep arguing this. Charbonnet is fine. He's like the baseline of fine running back. And that's what people act like he's the worst running back in the league. It's like, I understand some of these metrics and what they look at. If you just watch, he's fine. He gets the job done. Yeah. Like, he can do every run. He's great in pass protection. That's why coaches like him. So I'm right there with you, where it turns into more of a 70-30 split as kind of the season goes along. The right guard's bad. Like, that's the one big thing.
Such a train wreck.
It's so bad. Yeah, absolutely so bad. And the center,
it's like Titans right tackle last year, when it's just every week you watch.
Oh my God. Like an actual crippler of the offense, like actually can cripple the offense. That's what the right tackle was last year, Petit Ferrer. But yeah, Anthony Bradford is just not good. And Sundell at center is fine in the run game, but pass protection wise, you can get them. But that's the thing, is with this defense and how explosive they are on offense, it's just, they can stay in kind of neutral game scripts where it's not drop back. So I think it's even better for me. Like, I don't think you're going to get that crap out Sam Darnold. He'll have a couple moments because I just think the offensive line, while it's not an all-world team, it's way better than it was with the Vikings last year. So again, just if the run game improves just a little bit, like, and maybe we get that after the bye, they can really kind of get that boost where I'm feeling real good about kind of where they're at. But man, I think people got to understand how freaking good this defense is. Like, it is. Their front is so good. Their back, the pressures they throw at teams, they're not the biggest blitz team, but the stuff they throw at is just like, I mean, it's like Nolan Ryan had a curveball, and it's just like, he might not throw, he can throw 102, but that curveball will buckle your knees, and that's what, when they bring those pressures, that's what it looks like. You see offensive lines go, what was that? Like, the running back is just going in total wrong direction. Like, and so that's something, again, that's an ace in the hole for them. All right. Whew, that was fun. We are going to take our last break, and we'll come back with a few of those trade deadline fanfic, fantasy bookings that you guys sent over, and we're going to react to those. See you guys in a sec. We are back, and we're going to react to some trades that you guys sent over, some trade ideas, some fantasy booking, as they call it in wrestling. What do you got, Matt? Which one of these capture your attention that you are interested in? I see a couple of receiver trades in there, a couple other ones as well. So which ones grab your attention?
Yeah, I'll play the hits from at. I mentioned because I mentioned this during the Bills segment.
Freebird,
B Money Mickey. I hate reading off Twitter handles. I always feel like I know it's the worst. It's so bad. BTJ to the Bills for a second and a fourth, or Rashid Shaheed to the Bills for a fifth. Let me just say, I think the Rashid Shaheed one is much more likely. Even Adam Schefter today said he expects one of the Saints receivers to one or both of the Saints receivers to get dealt, and I think Shaheed is significantly more likely to get moved than Olave is, just because Olave is a former first-round pick, has been kind of the engine to their pass game. Not been perfect this year. I'm not going to say that at all. He's made some mistakes at the catch point. He's kind of always got a baffling play or two in him every single game, but still a guy that I think can be like your number one receiver and be solid in that regard. Just Shaheed is in the last year of his contract, and obviously it's a rebuilding team. I could see him being moved. The BTJ one is definitely the fanfic. No question about it. But this is the type of receiver that the Bills need so badly. And he fits into their X receiver route tree, which is very go curl out heavy as opposed to over the middle stuff like he's been doing in Jacksonville. But I just would be stunned if he's moved. It just, to me, they've done a lot of work to try to build his confidence back up. It would have to be like a true fractured relationship for that to happen. But there's no question. Again, I said that the Bills should have drafted BTJ. Like, that was one of the guys that I really liked for them as a draft pick. Didn't work out. It was later in the draft, and then he went earlier than they were going to be picking. But still, this would, and a second and a fourth would be a terrible return for Jacksonville. I know he struggled this year, but come on, like, that's a guy you should get a first for. So I don't see that happening. But Shaheed, definitely really interesting. Like, he would bring the speed element to them. They do need that. And I'm curious what you think he would do in terms of like how he'd fit into that receiver room. Cause I really, to your point earlier about they can get into all these personnel groupings. And again, we're nitpicking. I can like nitpick every personnel group where it's like, yeah, they want to get linebackers on the field so they can attack them with tight ends. Well, their best tight end is a guy that doesn't block at all. And that's kind of a problem there. You know, the Coleman stuff is the Coleman stuff. I want to see him get more slot, but Coleman stuff is the Coleman stuff. I want to, obviously, I'm like giving up. I don't even want to talk about big slot stuff with Keon Coleman because that ain't never going to happen. I'm over it. And I kind of don't even care because Khalil Shakir is a really good slot receiver. So they misevaluated what Keon Coleman is. So I don't know if Shaheed then could step in as a movement Z for them. That would be interesting, but yeah, curious on your thoughts on that one.
Yeah, God, it's so hard because of what Josh Allen has become. Like, he's very selective as a downfield guy. And that's, to me, is like, is that just because of who they have, you know, as opposed to like what the offensive philosophy is, which is really great to him as a quarterback. But it has just been feeling like that's something where it's, the big plays are, you know, Josh Allen breaks contain and then he finds someone for a 20-yard gain. Designer plays, oh my God, they run the fake bubble pump play to Dalton Kincaid all the time, or Khalil Shakir all the time. But those are right. I mean, all the time. And it's just, but I loved what you said starting, like how BTJ would fit as the X, but I know we're talking about Shaheed, is that it's outbreakers, it's curls. It's not the digs and inbreaker stuff are their tight ends, Josh Palmer, and then Khalil Shakir kind of does a little bit of everything for them. But like Shaheed, to me, does fit in because even if he doesn't, I don't think Shaheed's really grown on me as just a total football player, that he's never going to be a 1,000-yard receiver guy, but he kind of is what you mentioned about Golden when he was drafted with the Packers. He opens up the middle stuff for everybody else, where he has a booster effect on everybody else. So if we are going to be this intermediate underneath attacking team because everyone's scared of Josh Allen's arm, well, now we have a real threat. Like, that's the jokes with the Chiefs with Tyquan Thornton, or why I've been like so funny. It's like he actually has helped out the offense because you don't have to, like, the guy doesn't have to go for 100 yards every game. It's just that threat that they can do it. You just have to honor it. And Shaheed is one of the best deep ball guys in the league. So it's not just like a speed guy, you know, it's not MVS, you know, oh yeah, he's speed. Okay, go. It's like a guy that, oh no, we actually have to defend him and honor him. So I actually really like Shaheed to this one. I maybe more than most other teams. I think some of the, Bills need a receiver stuff is kind of, I roll my eyes at because there's just such a unique attack. That's kind of like, I don't know if they want that or need it, but they need somebody that could be an X. Most teams do. And I think Shaheed would be what they actually need as opposed to Coleman, who is a back shoulder guy. Like, I mean, that's all I think he's good at this point in time. So I like that one. I actually do think Shaheed would fit this. And I think a fifth would be more than, I think that's very acceptable to be giving up for essentially a rental and maybe just get a small extension with them. So yeah, I like that one a lot. God, there's a lot of BTJ ones. This is one I thought was interesting that I wanted to kind of, I didn't even think about this guy moving. And that's Garrett Williams posted this one was Jalen Phillips to the Chiefs. Jalen Phillips, of course, is with the Dolphins, and I think they should be a fire sale team. And Phillips has had some injuries. It's not always great, but when he's out there, is productive. He's long. He's got a different skill set than maybe this pass rush has for the Chiefs, who have Carl Loftus, who's a pocket pusher, good player, but pocket pusher. Chris Jones is Chris Jones. They move him inside and out. But if you get a guy like Phillips who can be a valid edge for them, that actually just, everyone else can kind of slot in. They can do even more looks where Chris Jones is on the inside, and then the defensive tackle play can be interesting. They can go inverse roles with them. So I really like this one as far as helping out the team. The team that's selling should be selling all their guys anyways. The Dolphins, I know they won last week against the aimless Falcons, but I do think I actually like this one a little bit more. I know everyone wants to go receiver for the Chiefs or this for the Chiefs, running back for the Chiefs, which I agree with. Maybe Alvin Kamara or something like that. But man, Jalen Phillips to the Chiefs actually is one I like more than I thought initially.
Yeah, I don't know. Kamara's not been great so far this year, so I don't really know if that's moving.
He's like bad in pass protection now.
Yeah. It's like, well, dude, he's already talking about like sipping pina coladas. He's like half retired, I feel like. So I don't want to
be traded. I want to retire as Saint. Yeah, I'm sure you do, because you just get to do what you want.
Exactly. Yeah. Please give me a break. So yeah, I don't know if that, but like Breece Hall, that would be an interesting trade for Kansas City. But yeah, I actually agree that their run game is what it is. And it's efficient. They get what they need, and then I like where the Hollywood Brown, whatever, but he's like the fourth receiver in the offense if you count Travis Kelce, and like Rashee Rice is such a volume hog, you're never going to really feel his presence until you're trying to throw him a freaking back shoulder fade in man coverage or something like that. I don't know what the hell is up with that. But then they say like Patrick Mahomes has never completed a back shoulder pass. I'm like, well, who's he completing back shoulder passes to in this offense?
Sky Moore.
Yeah, that one hurt, but fair enough. I do think that like that a pass rusher like this would be a much more impactful addition to this team, because I think the defense, your point about it can definitely tick up over the course of the year. I'm not saying like Jalen Phillips is a closer to the level of some of the other great pass rushers around the league, but just something to bring a little bit more pop there, I think would actually move the needle much more than an offensive skill position player.
This offense can get it done. Yeah, and I think that's where I keep going spags, and they're figuring out the DBs, but it's like you can always use more pass rush, especially who you're going to go against in the playoffs. It's like, just now we don't have to blitz. We can just rush forward and get after you. So that's why I want to throw that one in there. So that was a good one from Garrett Williams. I think Garrett Frankowski, Mike Wachowski. I got my eyes on you, Wachowski. We have the Steelers acquired Jacoby Myers and Jamal Adams to play linebacker from the Raiders. Jamal Adams might be the best linebacker for the Raiders, but he's still not very good. Jacoby Myers for the Steelers needed to happen yesterday. Needed to happen a week ago. Needed to happen 2 weeks ago. So yes, I think this one should happen. So I don't know if you agree with that or any other thoughts on this one, but I had to mention it because it feels like an obvious one that everyone should need.
Yeah, and I mean, they signed Tyler Lockett for reasons.
Oh my God,
Raiders.
Your thread on that was hilarious. Hey, let him go to a contender, and then would you reply?
I know,
or no?
Like, or just hang out with your buddies for a few more months and get a foothold in the Las Vegas real estate market, because he got Nashville earlier. Now he's up there. He's in your neck. Hey, you looking to buy a house? You comfortable where you are? Call Tyler. He's in the area.
I might be selling too. Who knows?
There you go. So. The Jamal Adams part of this, though, I don't really know if that moves the needle for me at all. I do think Jacoby Myers would be cool. They need another viable receiving body there. Although I did kind of like when they just like let Pat Freiermuth be like the second receiver on this team against the Bengals a couple weeks ago, and then they kind of went back to They kind of went back to completely forgetting he existed. But yeah, like a normal second receiver that can create some separation on more of those like kind of base routes. I think Myers is such a technician that I think him and Rodgers actually would be pretty simpatico pretty early. But the Jamal Adams part of this, I mean, maybe they probably need a linebacker, sure, but I don't know that he moves the needle, especially in this defensive construction for what it is.
I know, right? The defense is just, it's not good. It's just so like, they try to be exotic, but it's very basic exotic. It's very, I don't know. I they just don't change anything. Like, you can watch film on the Steelers defense from 4 years ago and it's the same stuff. Like, I think since I've been in media, it's like, I can tell you what they do on third down. I can tell you what they do on first down. I can tell you what their invert looks are. I can tell you when their palms coverages are. Like, it's very predictable. CJ Watt, always on your right side. Okay, let's chip him, because we don't have to worry about moving a D tackle or anything. So that's more the issue for me than Arthur Smith, Aaron Rodgers. I think the offense is exactly what I kind of envisioned it to be. So we had another one from Marco, BTJ to the Patriots. I don't think they need I don't think they're desperate for a receiver right now. I
completely agree.
They're out. I think they're out on the receiver market. I don't think they need anything. And if you want to, and they have an interesting guy in Kyle Williams. They're trying to get more reps. But that's the wild card, I guess you could put it, for this offense, about his development on the back half. So, and even defensively, this is Marco again. He's saying, great name, by the way, great handle, Haas Juke. That's a great handle. You must be a Patriots fan. Oh, by the way, Patriots fans and Patriots bloggers and everything, I'm not knocking you guys, but anytime the Patriots run Haas Juke, which is verts and then a little middle read route, juke route in the middle, they go nuts about it. It'll be like a 3-yard gain. They'll be like, Patriots running Haas Juke again. Josh McDaniels is at it. It's like, you guys no one loves Haas Juke more than Patriots fans. It's so funny. They can ID this one play because they freaking made a living with it with Tom Brady and stuff. Sorry, Marco. I like the name, but I do have to crack up about that. And then any others that are grabbing your attention there? See, someone, Octopus Adams had a great, I think this is fantasy booking, Jeffrey Simmons next to Vita Vea. I think any contender should be looking at calling the Titans every single day and go, Jeffrey Simmons, for he's playing like a defensive player of the year. Anyone could use Jeffrey Simmons right now. So anyone getting Jeffrey Simmons, I'm all for. Any other ones grab your attention here? There's only a couple left, but I don't know. It's a lot more.
Yeah, I actually just want to get one thing off my chest actually here, instead of something, because some of these about like Myles Garrett to the Colts for Anthony Richardson. I don't know what you would want Anthony Richardson on the Browns for. Like, what the F is the point?
Let's do it. I'll be all in on that. let's see it.
There's nothing for everybody involved. There's nothing I would want less. Yeah, let's get the Shador truthers and the Richardson truthers fighting each other. That would be fun. Quiddy Pay and 2 firsts, like obviously that's part of it too. But yeah, Jeffrey Simmons to the Bucs. This one we just had up there. I just want to get this off my chest. Bad teams are allowed to have good players, especially when those bad teams pay those good players and the good players sign the contract a load of money. I mean, there was a couple weeks ago where there was a whole kerfuffle about, we got to get Garrett Wilson out of New York. And I'm like, look, there is nobody on planet Earth other than Garrett Wilson who wants to see him play with a good quarterback other than me. I think it probably goes Garrett Wilson and then maybe other members of his family and then me. But like, he signed the deal. He's in New York. Like, bad teams are allowed to it, because at some point they want to be not bad, right? They're allowed to have these good players. And we are fanficking. I totally get that. But not every bad player is like got to be rescued out of these situations, because things change quickly. Look at the Colts this last year. It's like, last year we got to get these guys out of here, or we just fix. Or how about teams get your stuff together, fix it, and like, let's go from there. We can try again next year. I don't know, just a stupid rant to get
a bad average quarterback or a bad quarterback, young quarterback project to like Daniel Jones being competent. Like, I thought I was pretty safe being negative on Daniel Jones' experiment. And you know what? I had a lot of data points. I had a lot of film study of Daniel Jones, but it's like, that's the thing about the NFL. It can change so quickly, so quickly, especially if you just have the right ecosystem around you. So no, it's a great point. Even though Myles Garrett saying, I know the quarterback plan and, I approve of it. And it's like, what did they tell you was the quarterback plan?
It can't have been Joe Flacco. It cannot. If it is, then I'm sorry, Miles. Great guy. I've enjoyed every one of my I've enjoyed every one of my conversations with Miles over the years. I gotta question how serious you are, pal.
He's a very thoughtful guy. That's what's so funny. It's like, what? Some players I'm just roll my eyes about. It's a typical, jock brain. But it's like Miles is very thoughtful. So that's where it's like, you really think on this stuff too. So what did they tell you? I think Greg Rosenthal had a great tweet that he had Tungsteno, a Doyle type of game. If you ever seen that tweet about Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout.
Oh, yeah.
Where he had his 5 sacks, but they still lose by 3 scores.
Yep.
But yeah, the Browns are just whatever. But even if I want them, and really the quarterback candidate teams should be trading for is Tanner McKee from the Eagles. That's the guy. I as much as I think Richardson is worthy of an experiment still, I know. But Tanner McKee is the guy if I were the Vikings or the Browns or one of these teams that's I don't know. That's the guy I'm calling. And I know Howie Roseman will make you pay out the nose.
First round pick,
because I think that's a legit starter to me. And so that was, that's, again, not to rip off this Band-Aid again, but that's what I thought the Browns should have done in February before they traded for Kenny Pickett, drafted 2 guys, and then signed Joe Flacco. I thought Tanner McKee would have just made it a lot easier, but I digress. Thank you for everyone that sent in these trade ideas, even though we just said fanfic is stupid. Nate
doesn't have to associate himself with that. That can be my grumpy take. That's fine.
I agree with it. As someone that was a Timberwolves or is a Timberwolves fan and a Mariners fan, it was very frustrating when as soon as you had a good player, like Felix Hernandez was a trade candidate every single year. People are still saying, oh, Anthony Richardson's going to go somewhere else, or Anthony Edwards is going to go somewhere else. It's like, no, he's not. No, he's not. Small market teams that were bad can have good players and become good. It happens in sports. So, yes. So I agree with you. But Matt, I agree with you a lot. Thank you for joining me on this show. That was fun. That was fun to jump into power rankings, to do some trade fanficking. We're closing it out today. Chuck and I will be back on Thursday to preview week 9 because we're getting to that halfway point finally. I'm Nate Tice. You can find me at Nate_Tice on social media. I got a big board coming out this week, and Charles and I have a mock draft coming out this week, so check out that on Yahoo Sports. Should be some...
Oh, boy.
I know. That's what I'm going to be doing after this show. Look at that. Yeah, getting that mock draft going. Yeah, quarterbacks is really interesting, too. So if teams are... There's some interesting names out there. Fernando Mendoza, Ty Simpson, Dante Moore. Really good receiver class, by the way. So get ready for you. I'm ready for those breakdowns. Get ready. Get ready. There's 10 of them every year. Every year. but Matt, I know you'll be working on rookie receiver prospects in about 6 months, but what are you working on this week? We can find you on social media at Matt Harmon _BYB, by the way. Yeah,
funny enough, I'm actually writing a piece. I'm going to put the finishing touches on it about rookie receivers this year at the midway point and kind of doing not a film-based check-in. I'm going to be doing that actually for Reception Perception. My annual rookie report comes out in a couple weeks, but kind of just looking at playing time and who's trending up and stuff like that. And you'll be on the film room tomorrow where we're doing a rookie check-in as well. So keep one eye on the present here, Nate Tice, while you're also looking at those prospects for next year.
Colossus of Rhodes, one leg in each spot, man. Any interesting names that you want to hint at or kind of interesting upticks?
Yeah, a couple interesting upticks is definitely. I mentioned Chim Dike. He was a guy that really has stood out to me these last couple
legit.
weeks.
I agree with that. Just watching that game back, I totally agree. He popped.
Yeah, and of course the big one is just Texans find a way to get Jalen Noel more on the field. Give me a break. 47% of the routes since week 6. We gotta pump those numbers up, baby. Let's go.
Hey, didn't he look very dynamic? And a good route runner and
hard to say.
Good hands, like everything we thought he could be if they just started playing him week 1. Yeah, I don't know, just seemed pretty. And they let him return punts while also playing on offense. Crazy. Wow. I know. That's why you draft these guys on day 2. But make sure to check all of that stuff out on with Matt and also the Yahoo Fantasy Forecast. The film room would be a lot of fun, always is. But also subscribe to us, follow us, rate us, watch us on YouTube on the Yahoo Sports YouTube channel. Or check out that good stuff, the Fantasy Forecast as well. Thanks to Stone, Austin, and Madison behind the scenes for making us look and sound good, especially for a jumbo XXL episode like this. We're just matching what the NFL is doing. 6 offensive lineman type of show right here. But thank you all for listening. Really, really appreciate it. See you guys next time.